Giving you guys a virtual lesson today. I'm doing it on the caste system. Miss Shirley should have printed out these sheets. Everybody have one of these?
Yes.
Okay, good. Well, let's go ahead and get started. As you see on your sheet, we're going to be talking about the caste system of India. So, what the caste system of India is, it was like a social system that divided the people of India by birth. And as you can see on my slides up here, I've got a little slideshow for you guys to look out for and follow along with. So the Hindus, the Indian people, they divided all of their people by social class. Okay, and this happened when they were born too. It didn't happen like whenever they like came into society or anything like that. As you can see on the slide up here, the caste system in India divided groups based on social classes. Okay, by a person's birth, wealth, and occupation. Now you could get out of a social class, but depending on what kind of family you were born in, that's usually what social class you were in. Okay, and this was called the caste system, and we'll get into why it was called the caste system in just a second. But that's what they called their society with their groups of people in it. Okay, it was based on four types of people, and I'm not very good at pronouncing the words, but I have translation for you. The first one was the Brahmin, the priest. These are the highest. These are the highest forms of people. Okay, they were the ones that made sure to oversee the rest of the caste system. They were the head of the religion, the Hindu religion, and then you had the Shastriya. I don't think you pronounce the K. The warriors and the kings. This was the people that were in the military, the people that ruled over other people, the kind of overseers of the territory. Then you had the Vaishya. These were the merchants or the farmers, the people that supplied the food, the people that ran the markets. Then you had the Sudra. These were just the rest of the common people, or non-Aryans, meaning non-real Indian, non-real Hindu people. Okay, just the common folk. Okay, the people that just kind of lived. They didn't really have jobs or anything like that. They were at the bottom of the caste system. Okay, as you can see over here, this little triangle of the caste system. It has all of the parts of the caste system. You can see it's the white part of it is the Aryan people, which is like true born Indian Hindu people. The Aryans is what they called them. And then the Sudras were just the servants, the labor workers, the kind of people that did all the stuff with um, like just the stuff that nobody else wanted to do, right? Okay. And like I said, we talked about the Brahmins. They were seen as the highest ranking because they performed rituals for the gods, and obviously, and for the Hindu religion, they thought that this was the highest form of society that you could possibly have. Okay, and I've got a little bit about this as you're writing down on the sheet. Is everybody writing down on the sheet?
Yes.
Okay, good. And I've got all this up here to show you guys a little bit of what it might have looked like. The Brahmins, these are the priests, seen as the very highest of the caste system. Then you had the Vaishya, or sorry, then you had the Kshatriya, who these are the warrior people, the people that fought for the homeland, the country. Then you had the Vaishya, these were the craftsmen, the people that went and kind of went to the markets and provided goods and things like that. And then you have the sutras. These are the common workers, right? Okay, and then there was actually a part of the caste system. This, like I said, it determined your place in society, right? So wherever you were in society, depending on how much money you make or like your family wise or what you were born into, that's where you were in society. Okay, and most of these were respected. Even if you were at the bottom, you had some level of respect in the caste system. Okay, but there was a part of the caste system that's at the bottom that a lot of people don't talk about. By the end of the Aryan age group, called the Untouchables, is what they were called. They were at the bottom of the caste system. Okay, the caste system, and there's a word in the English language called outcast. That's where this word comes from. The outcast. These are the people that nobody wanted anything to do with. Okay, if I was to say call somebody an outcast, obviously that's a very derogatory term, and nobody wants to be called that because it's offensive. But that's kind of what these people were made out to be: untouchable or outcast. They were outside the caste system. These are the people that nobody wanted anything to do with. They were quote unquote untouchable. You couldn't go and make conversation with them. You couldn't go and help them or anything like that. These are the people that clean the streets, or clean people's buildings, things like that. Nobody wanted anything to do with them because they were so far down in society, that they couldn't get back inside the caste system. That's why they were called the outside of the caste, outcasts. Um, and this is kind of, all five of these people, were we're part of the, you kind of got to have this in social classes to make this work. This is why social classes have kind of stood the test of time throughout, from back then to now. Even now we have social classes. You got a low, middle, and upper class. But even back then, they incorporated this in their society because everybody has their own, part of society to fill and do their part. Obviously this caste system probably couldn't work without any of these, five groups of people. So that's exactly why they had it back then. That's exactly why it's kind of carried the test of time through today. Okay. And then, they had certain rules to keep castes divided, right? The sutras, okay, this is what they kept, the guides, this is what their rules were to keep them divided, right? Example: people couldn't marry out of another caste or eat with another, go have dinner with another caste, right? So like if I was a priest or a Brahmin, I couldn't go marry a Sutra or a commoner. You know what I mean? That was against the law. It was a rule that you couldn't do, right? There's just some more of these rules. People were not allowed to marry, couldn't eat with other people. If you broke the rules, then you were banned from your home and caste, making you an untouchable. Okay, so you became an outcast. If you broke one of these rules, you became an untouchable. You became an outcast. So that might be how some of these people got to become outcasts. Okay, and the effect of these rules were that people only spent time with people from their caste. Now, this is something that really hasn't stood the test of time. That's definitely a little extreme, but you could see how over the top, and the people that made the rules wanted this to be. They wanted this society, to work with only the people that were in each other's castes to hang out with one another. And that's how they made it. And that was the highest part of their rules were, if you were in one caste, you couldn't go outside of that caste and hang out with anybody else from another. Okay, and that's how they feel like it worked. And for the most part back then, it seemed to work relatively well for them. And throughout time, this has kind of changed a little bit. But back then, this was like one of the first ones. This was like one of the first social classes in the world, was ancient India. So you can see it's came a long way, but back then it definitely wasn't perfect. Okay. So I appreciate you guys listening to me a little bit today. Hopefully you guys learned a little bit about the caste system. And yeah, thank you guys for listening. And thank you, Miss Shirley.
Yeah, thank you so much. The worksheet is wonderful. They're filling that out right now, and we'll look over that. We appreciate it. Thank you so
All right.
much.
Thank you.